Welcome back to Heart Path Podcast. We have Lorie Ladd again. Woo!
We're raising the roof.
Yes, and just a little bit of info about Lorie. She is a best-selling author and spiritual teacher specializing in the evolution of human consciousness. And we had first got connected through Jesus of all beautiful beings. So welcome back, Lorie. Happy to have you here for part two of many.
I am so happy to be back. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here and see what comes through this time.
Yeah. So, gosh, we first met at the beginning of 2025 and had you as a guest. So what hasn't happened in your life? What has been going on with you, with Jesus, with all of the things? Because there's been a lot.
A lot. There's been so much, you guys. Oh my goodness. Like, where do I start? My relationship with Jesus continued to build. Um, I continued to commit to being with him every day, and I knew something was coming. I just really wasn't sure what was coming with him, like what this was all about. But I just kept connecting with him, and I kept speaking with him, and it was in I just came back from my second retreat in Kenya, so it was in the end of June, and I knew something was about to kind of unravel. Um, and I knew I was getting prepared for something. I could feel it. I could feel it. And it was there the end of July, beginning of August. I was laying in bed one night and he just comes in so loud. I mean, the loudest I've had him come in a long time. And I just start journaling with him, and he's like, "It's time to start. We're beginning. Your training is starting." And I'm like, "Training? I thought I've been in training. Like, haven't I been in training with you? Like, what do you mean?" And he's like, "No, it starts." And he just starts giving me all this information about this book we're going to write and what he wants me to do, in the next couple of weeks before he wanted me to do a 21-day fast, and he wanted me to go to a place that was going to be watch me, so I didn't hurt my body or do anything stupid.
May I
And so,
have you done a fast or what is the longest fast that you've done before?
dude, I don't like fat. I love eating. Like, I'm
Okay.
very thin. I'm very skinny. I've had an eating disorder when I was younger. I have like body image stuff, so I don't like to like restrict or not eat food. It can be a little. I just don't like to deal. I don't want to. I just like eating when I'm hungry, and um, so I don't do juice fasts. I've tried because Jesus did ask me to do a water fast, 2 water fasts. I don't know, maybe in the beginning of the year, and it was horrific. It was really hard. And so when he said, "I want you to do a 3-week water fast," I was like, "Sweet Jesus," literally, like, okay. Like, I knew that if he wanted me to do it, that I would commit to doing it. I knew I needed to find like a facility that would watch me. And I knew whatever unraveled was perfect and divine, and I wasn't going to get in the way. So I did end up finding a place in Germany that I went to. They wouldn't let me lose too much weight, so I could only go so far.
Right.
Um, so I did like a 7-day water fast and then a 7-day broth fast right after, and then started to introduce foods again. But it was life changing. Um, Unbelievably life-changing, and that's when the book started to come through, and yeah, it was incredible.
So you ended up doing 7 days of water fast, 7 days
Yeah,
of broth, and then integrating food.
and then slowly integrating food back in, and yeah, just spent those 3 weeks just really diving deep into a relationship with Jesus. Um, and some really profound things happened. Yes.
Lorie and I were just chatting, our beautiful guest, Lorie Ladd, and she was sharing about her fast that she did. And as you started going into more details about it and that connection with Jesus, everything just went very glitchy and technology malfunctioned and stopped working. So just like paying attention to that or making a little mental note of what we were talking about as well. So you had mentioned at the end of August, is that when Jesus first said that's what you were doing? Is that kind of like what initiated this whole desire or maybe perhaps mission to do the 21-day fast?
I mean, when he came in and started talking with me that night, beginning of August, I had been battling in a sense. I teach on the evolution in human consciousness. Like that's what I'm here to do on the planet. Like, and so when Jesus started coming in and like not going away, it was kind of like, I'm here, we're going to be working together. It was very confusing for me because I was like, and then I would feel him and I knew who he was. I could feel him. I saw him making changes in my life. I was like, I mean, there was nothing that even comes close to Jesus. I mean, I've connected with galactics. I've connected with all the ascended math. You name it, I've done it. Nothing has ever touched the energy of Jesus. And in terms of the impact that it made in my life. And so I was very confused the last 10 months, probably because I was trying to wrap my head around. I'm somebody that was really immersed in the truth kind of space, awareness of what's happening in the corruption, new age kind of world. Um, and what I was experiencing with Jesus was just kind of outside of all of that. And then I was like, well, am I supposed to become religious? Like, am I supposed to become a Christian or a Catholic? Am I supposed to go to church? Like, so I kind of went into that kind of, I was like, well, let me open to that. And then that didn't quite feel right. I was like, no, there's corruption here. Like, so it was really challenging and difficult to figure out who Jesus is outside of everything,
Mm.
like all the everything. Like, who is Jesus to me based on my experience and relationship with him? And that really took off in August when he said, it's time for you to go into training. You have to clean your entire body out to be able to hear me, to receive me, to write the book with me. So it was about service to this bigger mission with him as to why I needed to clear my body out. Because he said to me, if you are not clean inside, I will not come through. Like it wasn't like, oh, I won't be able to. It was like, I'm not going to come through and share if you're not disciplined and obedient to what I need you to do. Um, And so that's when I was like, I'll do whatever. And if it's a 3 week fast, I'll do that. And um, I knew the fast, the intention behind it was to clean out my body and spiritually. Um, and so what happened was gnarly, like
Can
gnarly.
we rewind a little bit because
Yeah.
there were some things that you shared, and I feel like everything that you were saying of kind of navigating the new age world, and then it's like, well, maybe it's the religious world. Like where do you fit in when Jesus enters the picture, because it can be confusing. And I know, we're not the only ones that went through that. And I think it's really important to highlight what you said with your relationship with Jesus and how that fits for you and your experience in navigating, because it can, yeah, once again, it can feel confusing because there's these templates or sometimes controlling principalities that get imposed on you or that you feel you have to take on when you don't actually have to. So just everything that you were saying, I was like, yes.
Yeah, it's so true. Like I've never been so, I'm not even sure of the words, in awe of the manipulation, mind control, and role of Jesus on the planet in our evolution and human consciousness. I am blown away. I am humbled and I'm in awe of being able to try to figure out how to teach it because I don't think there is anything more distorted in our history that has a more profound effect in our evolution as Jesus. And I don't know anyone that doesn't have some sort of reaction to the name Jesus.
Mm.
No one on the entire planet, unless they've absolutely never heard of him, but most of humanity has.
Can I say when we first did that first episode earlier in the year, you and I were both mindful and we're even saying Yeshua because of the effect that the word Jesus has. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah. And I used Yeshua for a while because I was trying to figure out how to do this. Like, how do we do this? And I mean, think about that. Like, I mean, it's wild. I mean, because Jesus doesn't care what name you use. You can call him George and it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could call him Sam and like, he doesn't care. So, I mean, there's so much to unpack, honestly, but, you know, it is confusing it's confusing if you don't have a solid religious stance with Jesus, right? So let's just say you're super religious, you love Jesus, you've been brought up in the church, it works for you, right? You're not going to have a confusion around Jesus. Now, that's not to say that that is necessarily the highest truth, but there's a comfortableness in Jesus. So what their triggers, if they were to ever hear me speak, would be that I am speaking more from what they would consider outside the box, like not in the absolute biblical sense, right? So, but they're not going to care because they have their relationship and they're good. The majority of people that aren't in a solid religious relationship with him, they're they may get curious with what this is, but then have a lot of confusion because of the manipulation of his teachings, and the massive abuse mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually in the churches when they grew up. And so you have to, like, Jesus is battling. I mean, he understands and sees all of this, and his heart is just so broken by what has happened because his ability to reach humanity is diminished because of what has happened with his teachings. And so to see from his perspective, like he really doesn't care if people come to him with a distorted view. You know, if they've kind of met, he doesn't care. He just wants to find ways to access people to help them navigate this phase that we're in. And so to try to get people to, in all walks of life, to kind of break apart and there's so many different, because then you've got people that are like like in like Islam, right? Or they're Muslim and they're like, well, what about me? I'm a different religion. And it's like, okay, so let's play in that moment for a second, right? Like what if Jesus isn't a religion? Because he's not. And what if Jesus is just a man that's an energy that wants to connect with you? Like, is there a possibility of like, if of that even being looked at, right? So instead of like, oh no, Jesus is the only religious and the only religious way of getting to God. And like God, Jesus wouldn't say that if he was on the planet. He wouldn't. I know he wouldn't. He would be trying to bring you to God. He would be trying to introduce you to God. He would be showing you sin and what is blocking you and the demonic energies that are inside of you and what obedience means and what surrendering means. But he could care less what religion you are. If you're an atheist, if he could care less, you know? And so trying to peel that apart, talk about it, watch our triggers. Um, it's really interesting. For me, what it boils down to as I'm writing with him and spending 24/7 with him is if we can just get people to start to try to have their own unique relationship with him, then you get to decide how you want to move forward with him. You know, if you want to start reading the Bible, great. If you want to start going to a church, great. If you're like, no, I'm just going to sit in nature and I'm just going to be with him and let him talk with me, great. Like, let that be the way forward, because what he's about to do with us, I mean, really, what he wants to do with us is show us the deep demonic infiltration on this planet in order to literally set us free. That is his role, and that is very, very complex. Like we could dive into all these different subjects around that. But like in a nutshell, what I'm starting to understand is Jesus came here to literally save us, right?
Set the
Save
captive
us.
free.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And we don't, you know, depending upon how you feel about giving your power away to something greater than you, um, to the degree that you're willing to let go and hand something over completely, you will be saved in the sense of you will be shown what has been keep taking captive over your body and your mind and your soul and your spirit. Um, Jesus will show you that, and he will show you the way forward and the way out. And I do not believe that there is anything else that can show you with such clarity and calm and peace in the way that Jesus can. And and he wants to impact every human on the planet. You know, he knows that's his um, mission with God, as God. And to know that we have access to that, and you know, it's that's why fasting was such an important component that I started with, because you know, what lives inside of our bodies, you know, demonic energies that we can't see that live inside our bodies can
Mm-hmm.
be can be cleansed out with prayer, with
Yes.
fasting. with a lot of different tools, right? But fasting, if you do a full, brutal water fast or broth fast, has the potential um, to clean out parasitic demonic energies that are literally attached to your addictive behaviors, um, your thoughts that are driving you crazy, suicidal thoughts, depression, all of these things that we think are ours, that we think is because of trauma. On one level, it came in through trauma. That's what he
Doorway.
was showing me. Yeah, exactly. Like, and the fact that that it can be miraculous in the way in which it can move out of your body instantaneously, um, and you become free from it. Again, there's a lot of different ways to do that, but fasting is one of them. Building a relationship with Jesus is one of them. Praying with Jesus is one of them. But uh, yeah.
That topic of the demonic energies and those infiltrations and those oppressions, on one end of the spectrum, people might fully be on board with that. And then you've got on the other end of the spectrum, that's not real. And I feel from what you've been sharing too, the more that we open ourselves up to Jesus, the more that we open ourselves up to God, the more that the eyes become open or the awareness becomes open and you see, or at least have a sense of what's really there. Because I know from my experience, I can't not believe that they're not real because I've been seeing things of that nature from being a child. So, like in this reality, I know they're real, but at the same time, also knowing that some people in our world might not even be able to accept that as real,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? And then how do
It's
you?
interesting. It's interesting you're talking about demonic energies when you were younger
Mhm.
because one of the things that Jesus said to me, so I had this really crazy parasite come out of me, gnarly parasite come out of me the second week of my fast, and it was freaked me out. I was like, I wasn't expecting it, and I didn't think I had anything in me, and it was horrific. And I heard Jesus's voice come in, and he said, "This is demonic energy that has and in such a loving way, such a Jesus just beautiful loving way, like all's well, Lorie." He's like, this is demonic energy, my daughter, that has been in you since you were 6 years old when you received the sexual abuse, and your soul fractured, and the demonic energies came in at that point. They nestled into your body, and they began to kind of create these parasitic uh, physical dense forms laid into your intestinal the lining of your intestines,
Mhm.
and it's connected to your eating disorder, your body dysmorphia, your depression, your suicidal thoughts, your he's like, everything you have battled with has never been yours, and you just cleared it, and good job. And so when you were talking just now about you saw or felt demonic energies at a young age, it's, I'm not surprised because I think that for many of us, that is when they initially begin to sort of come in or taunt us, or because we are fragile, our energetic field is fragile. Trauma happens quite easily at that age with us. Um, and it's very real, very real. And it's not, we don't like to talk about it. If you're not in the religious, if you're not a spirit, if you're not a Christian or a Catholic, they have no problem talking about it. They're all about the demonic
Well,
energies, right? But
sometimes though, sometimes not.
oh, really?
Which is shocking too, because
Oh,
some
wow, really?
there are blind eyes turned to it,
I
which,
thought they were all on board.
right. Yeah, no, there are some blind eyes turned to it, which is interesting.
Oh, huh. I mean, listen, I was somebody that, you know, 2 years ago, 2 years ago, and my whole life, it was like, there's no demonic energies on the planet. That's all something you're making up. You're creating it. It's an illusion. That's a reality that's not real. You're making it real. And then then I experienced, demonic attacks and stuff. And then you realize it's very separate. Like it's its own uh entity, energy, uh force. The spiritual battle is basically the light fight God fighting the demonics. I mean, that really is the spiritual battle. And so where did the demonic energies come from? What I've sort of picked up on from Jesus and also from the Bible, but um, there are people on this planet that have been around for thousands of years, lineage, families that have been, the lineage, the very Luciferian, satanic families that have controlled this planet and humanity and our souls. And in that control and manipulation, they've created this attachment to desire or physical desire, fleshly desires, in order to weaken us and pull us from God. So that creates sin. And this sin is what sort of creates the demonic energies. And so there's this constant loop, and it pulls us from our direct alignment with God, And so the battle is really around clearing out, getting clear what demonic energies are inside of us. What sin am I doing that is pulling me from God? How loud is it in my life? How humble can I be in acknowledging it? And how can I say to myself, I don't have power over this. I am powerless to this, to fame, to pride, to money, to food, to sex, right? To porn. Like, what is it? And then that's why fasting and prayer is so powerful, because when you can rid yourself literally, like energetically, emotionally, spiritually, physically, of these kind of sinful behaviors that are really just demonic energies, they're
Yeah.
not even you, you know? If you can start to fast from them, they're going to crawl. They're literally, with fast from them, they are starved and they leave the body. They're starved. So even if you have a porn addiction and you literally fast from porn, there are parasites that potentially would physically leave your body because it's being starved. So we think of parasitic energies as just like physical stuff related to food, and it's not. Um, so yeah, like this whole lens has really shifted with me around what's actually happening on the planet and the role of Jesus in that whole process.
Mhm. When you were talking about the fasting and starving things away, I find myself actively asking the question, is this bringing me closer to God or further from God? Like with everything that's going on, and then that brings you into the center too. Because we all, whether we're consciously aware of it or not, we know what brings us further from God or closer to God. And then
Hmm.
it is making those choices though, because for you, doing a fast for 3 weeks is no small undertaking
Hmm. Yeah, no.
by any means. And how was that experience for you, even after the 2 weeks where you had that huge purging? How was that for you after? Was that when you started transitioning slowly back into food, or Or what was that process like?
I also had a really profound experience with him on day 6 or 7 of the fast, where there's this cute little town in Germany that the center I was at, you could just walk right from the center down to this cute, precious town. And and I had a moment there with him all day. So we would hang out all day long. He's like, "All right, let's go walk." And then he would walk with me and talk with me. And um, he would just, the love he has for humanity is indescribable. He would just say, "Do you see how beautiful everyone is? Like, look at how beautiful they are. Look how unique they are. Look how this person smiles and this person walks." And I'm like, "Damn, you like really love
Yeah.
humanity." Like, I was like, "Whoa, this is like next level love." That there was a day where he's always next to me, and all of a sudden, I felt him inside of me. Like his voice was now inside of me. And I was like, wait a second. You're inside of, you're like, I can hear you're in me side. And then he said, yes. I said, wait, why are you now, what happened? And he said, this is the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, what? And he says, when you connect with me outside of me, it's a feeling state, a conversation, like a kind of like a back and forth. He says, I want you to feel what it feels like now to have the my energy inside of you, the Holy Spirit energy inside of you, alive, breathing. Like, and I felt like what I can only imagine God would feel like in physicality. So it's hard to describe. It's really, I've never felt it before. It wasn't this like blissful, like, ah, it was this very grounded, subtle, but profound awareness that this was God. And then he said, and he was in me talking. So he says, now start walking and like look at everything. And I was looking at food and I was realizing what an absolute incredible gift and what a blessing. And the sacrifice and how each person's hand that made that food. And then I would look at the tree. Everything was just different. Um, and I sat on the park bench and I started like using my phone to speak to him and have him speak back about what this Holy Spirit really is, because it was so alive in that moment. And so I spent like 20 to 30 minutes doing like a voice chat of like, holy cow, because I knew it wasn't going to last. Like, let's be honest. You know what I mean? Like, I knew this was going somewhere else. Like, I knew it was going to be fleeting. So I wanted to really soak up, like, okay, what is all this? Um, and I was just so in awe that this is the evolution in human consciousness, is that eventually there will be a moment where humanity will be walking God-like.
Mm,
Um, and so he gave me a snippet because in that moment, I said, man, if every human
mm,
had the embodiment of that Holy Spirit, like to actually like enveloping their every moment, like they were actually living and breathing the Holy Spirit, meaning God consciousness, the planet would be I mean, it would instantaneously,
yeah.
overnight, it would be done,
Yeah.
just done. But, and so the awareness of how far we are from that, and yet the beauty of knowing, wow, this is where we're going.
Mm,
This really is where humanity is going. This is the advanced human, and wow. And it is truly just reconnecting with the true absolute light of God. Um, anyway, so that happened. I forgot your question, but I wanted to share that story with you. Oh, what happened afterwards? Yeah. So anyway, so then the parasite came out a couple days later, and I was walking a couple days later with him, um, and I said, "How do I know this is really going to work? Like that my body image issues and my body dysmorphia that I've had, and like all the thoughts that I have about I'm not good enough, I'm not a good teacher, don't show up, you're not, no one cares, who do you think you are?" Which have like
Yeah.
that's been so heavy in my life. I was like, "How do I know it's gone?" And he says, just wait, Lorie, just wait until you get home, just wait." Um, and so as I started slowly beginning to kind of eat again, I knew I would never go back to eating the way I knew my everything had changed. Like
Mm.
even today, I'm doing a broth fast. 2 days ago, I did a water fast. Like something has shifted in me where I'm really aware of the power of keeping the vessel as clean as possible, which I'm not. I mean, listen, I was a starks freak. I was like, I mean, I would eat anything. I didn't care. I'm like, so that's really shifted. And if I could share one more thing, he took away drinking.
Mm.
So, which is not something I was expecting, nor did I ask for. I love drinking wine. I was like, I love having a glass of wine. And so a couple days later, when I'm walking around town, I look at people drinking and I'm sick to my stomach. And I was like, wait a second, Jesus? He's like, yes. I was like, why am I sick to my stomach? He goes, I took that from you.
Mm.
You'll never drink again. And I'm like, what? He's like, you're never going to drink again. He goes, Lorie, that is one of the most dangerous acts that a human can do because it brings in spirits. He's like, you cannot ever drink again, not
Mm.
even a sip, he said. Um, and I'm like, wow, okay, got it. Like, but it's not even something that is like, oh, I hope I can do it. It's like, it's just taken from me. Um,
Isn't that fascinating to just touch on because spirits are called spirits for a reason? And look at how socially acceptable and encouraged it is when you
oof,
literally are opening up doors to the demonic world.
oh, just got goosebumps.
I've just always thought about that. It's so, I don't even want to say accepted. It's accepted and encouraged.
It's encouraged. Yeah. And you're 100% correct. Like you said earlier, the more that we go to God, the more our eyes open. And it's not our faults at all, but we have been deeply deceived and infiltrated and taken from God. We've been taken from the one, we've been taken from the creator. And a lot of people may get triggered by that because um, and that's okay. I understand that trigger. Um, but from my experience of what I'm learning from Jesus, it is what has happened to humanity. And the great thing is that we are walking ourselves back to that creator, and we will find ourselves back in the arms of God in a very tangible and physical way. Um, one step at a time, one teardrop at a time, one addiction falling at a time. Um, but yeah, alcohol is potentially one of the most dangerous acts that is so fun and eat. I mean, think about it. There is a liquor store. You have the ability to get a glass of wine or a beer or any day, any night, any place you are in the world.
I have a little share. This was in February of 2024. I didn't drink a lot, but I would, have wine from time to time. And something shifted being overseas. I was in Mexico. So it's just like, people are drinking and all of these things. And I could literally just see spirits attached to people.
Oh,
Oh, this is like, and I can see and feel things, but it was just so, there was no veil. And I didn't touch alcohol, I think, until like October of that year. I couldn't, nothing. Through spiritual sight, I could see these energies or entities latched onto people from drinking.
wow.
Hmm.
That is for, I mean, I mean, that makes it 100% yes, but
Yeah.
that's freaky that you could see them.
Yeah. And it was very
Like,
clear. Just this is what happens, even if you have a drink.
I think the more we kind of talk about it and bring it up, the better, because it's like, the awareness is important. It's not to bring fear, it's to just
Judgment.
bring awareness,
Yeah.
of like, just have the awareness, put it on the back burner, you know, start a relationship with Jesus, see how he wants you to shift and change, or God, um, and see what that's why one of the things that was so difficult, I don't know if it was difficult for you in really coming to Jesus more and more, but this idea of obedience, right? Um, I struggled with that with Jesus because I was like, listen, you can I'm in with a lot of things, but this whole obedience thing, like,
For
let
our
me
benefit.
sit with this. Yeah, it's like I don't do well with obedience. Um, but it was I started to understand. And then it was in August when he said, you have to do everything. You need to, if you don't have obedience to what I'm asking, it won't happen. And that's when I really started to understand. And then when he did take all of these things from my life recently, as of this past week, um, there's nothing I wouldn't do that he asked. There's no mountain high enough that I wouldn't climb. There's no truth that I wouldn't scream. I understand now in a small way, but I understand why the disciples allowed themselves to be persecuted. I think, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it seems so difficult at some, in my journey with Jesus, I was like, wow, they really gave their life. Like, damn, And the last couple of days, I've really recognized, wow, when you've really been saved by him, like when you've really received a real, true, profound miracle straight from Jesus, I don't know how you can't be so obedient in terms of like, what do you want from me? I'm yours. I
I will
will,
follow.
I will follow. I will follow. Yeah, I will follow. I will go to the ends of the earth. What do you need? What do you want? How do I serve you? Um,
What were your first thoughts when it came to light that you were going to be writing a book with Jesus? What was going on in your mind, in your heart?
I was really grateful.
Mm.
I was really grateful. I um I was grateful. I was humble. I was ready. I like these types of challenges.
Mm.
I'm prepared for the challenge. I feel like I've been prepared. I did a whole lot of preparation during COVID. I mean, I got beat up all over the world in COVID. So I'm very aware of like people coming at me. Now this is very different. This is a whole other darkness. But I'm prepared on that level. I know what discipline is like to write, so I was prepared on that level. Um, so the part that's been interesting is the kind of interpersonal challenge and commitment, which was like, okay, there's an actual person here that I'm committing to, that I have to do what they say. I better not disappoint. I better not screw it up. I better not. That piece is new, and that piece is the driving force that I absolutely love, but it's the driving force of me doing this work is I hope I don't screw it up. I hope I don't like, I will, I'm not doing this for me.
Mm.
I'm doing it for him. And I know that. So I've laid down my entire life to do it. Everything. I've kicked people out of my life. I've prayed that they will forgive me later. Like, I've blocked people that just aren't listening to me. I'm like, I am serious. And so that, yeah, it's been interesting. And he said he would write it fast, and it is being written pretty quickly, which I'm grateful for, because my first book was not was not fast.
So,
Yeah.
to even touch on that, how will this new book perhaps inspire, trigger folks that are used to some of the older material?
Well, believe it or not,
Hmm.
there are some pretty strong correlations between what he's talking, which blew my mind, by the way. Like,
Okay.
literally, my mind has been blown with what he's talking about, because remember, he's talking about the spiritual battle,
Yeah.
right? And really his role in the spiritual battle. And so when did this spiritual battle happen? He started talking about Genesis. So in my book, The Divine Design, I talk about the planet in the fifth dimension. I talk about the fall from grace.
Hmm.
I talk about how the earth was flooded. So in the fifth dimension, that was the Garden of Eden, that was heaven on earth.
Hmm.
Then there was a massive flood that happened in Genesis, which also happened in the fifth dimensional earth. Um, there were these giants that came in prior to the flood in Genesis, the Nephilims, I think, that bred with human women, that created, literally, this is in Genesis. This is not
Yes.
something, right? They created half human, half alien. And these were the ones, they call them the fallen ones.
Yeah.
These were the ones that essentially brought humanity into sin, or into, well, that's also what happened on the planet millions of years ago in the book.
Hmm.
And so he's starting to show me all these correlations, and I'm freaking, my mind is blown. I'm like, wait a second, what? Like, there is a massive, massive correlation between what I wrote, what's in the beginning of the book, to Genesis, and what's happening now. And
Hmm.
when he showed me that, I was like, ay, 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 this is so like incredible. Um, but this book, of course, is all about, um, getting people to understand really what they're in terms of the spiritual battle, and what they're really kind of fighting against, and how to move into these, how to really activate the God particle, how to activate God consciousness, how to be godlike, um, not God, but how to be godlike,
Yeah.
and and access Jesus through it all, and Jesus's words. But yeah, I was blown away when I started to read Genesis, and I'm like, wait a second, this is
The book.
literally a metaphor for what actually physically happened millions of years ago when the planet was in 5D. Like, wait, do people understand this? Like what? Because
Bridging.
there was, yeah, like it's fascinating. Um, it's really, and Jesus was talking yesterday. He's like, I speak a lot in parables and metaphors. Some of them are literal, many of them are not literal, but they were taken literally. And so he's like, and so that's where there's a confusion at times around my teachings. Um, Eternal life.
Yeah.
It's taken, it's taken like, it's not, it's, there was a metaphor around it. He was speaking, what he shared with me was when he speaks about eternal life, he's not talking about eternal life when you die. He's talking about when you are alive on the planet, recognizing that as soon as you connect back into source, you are eternally, there is no experience of death. So you are living from this eternal life state.
Mm.
So that's one thing that got just a little bit distorted. Also, the heaven, the idea of heaven, and going into heaven, that you have to you have to go to Jesus, and then Jesus, only through Jesus that you will be saved in heaven. Like that based on what Jesus was telling me, which take it with a grain of salt, but he was saying that got distorted. He says it's a heaven on earth. It's the heaven here. It's heaven now. Um it's experience. It's there. The idea that it's afterward is great if people listen. Again, he's
Yeah.
like, let's find me, I'm good, because at least you're finding me.
Just
But
go home.
yeah, but another layer to this, if would also be creating this heaven here now with this divine connection to God, to source, um, and letting those living, breathing waters of God, as it moves into your physical vessel, show you heaven on earth, show you those ways of being. Yeah, fascinating.
Well, and knowing that we can find those moments of peace, we can find those moments of heaven on earth, and they're a heck of a lot easier to find when you're connected to God. It's harder when you're just in a spiral or feeling disconnected. And it's perhaps that reminder of constantly returning because they're never
Yeah,
gone. Even as you've been talking, saying that Jesus is with you and you're walking with him and talking with him, and he's there for everyone. It's just whether or not we're open to have that relationship because he's with each and every one of us.
yeah. Every single human on the planet,
Yes.
every single, whether we think that they're I mean, evil, not evil, good, not good. It doesn't matter who they are. And yeah, so then the question becomes, can you open to him? Why not? Like, what? Get curious. What if there is something else here besides what you may have experienced in your past in a religious context, or what's just been kind of an unconscious program around what he is, or um, yeah, just the power of inviting him in and building a unique relationship with him that's just yours. And so a lot of questions is like, well, how do you do that, right? What does it look like? How do you do that? And it really is. I mean, you've experienced Jesus. He's very easy to kind of be with if you can take the pressure off yourself of like, you know, I better feel something. I better hear something. I better experience something. We put that pressure on ourselves. And the easiest way to start to invite him in is to simply just invite him in, literally wherever you are, whenever, like in your car, Jesus, come sit with me. And then just keep doing your day. Don't be like, oh my God, are you here? I don't hear you. How do I know you're here? Are you sitting here? Like, just invite him in and keep cooking. And when you're making your coffee, Jesus, come stand with me. When you're in your bed, going to bed, Jesus, come stand with me, come lay with me. Just invite him into your day all day long
Mhm.
without an expectation of, I don't hear you, I can't hear you, I'm talking to you, I'm not here. There, like, we've got to let that go seriously, because it is a massive detriment to being able to just relax into a profound and potent relationship with a man that can change your life. And the more that you just willy-nilly invite him to sit here and just keep doing your day, you will, without a shadow of a doubt, start to experience Jesus. It is inevitable, impossible not to. It will happen. It will.
And he's not here to overwhelm. So it might feel like it's taking too long or gradual, but it's going to come in the perfect stream, so to speak. Like if we're thinking about the waters, that stream for you, your mind might want fireworks, but that might not be the best for you.
Exactly. Or you might want, like, a lot of people will message me and like, I've been asking God to take this from me and nothing's happening. I hear nothing. And um, it's like, well, I mean, welcome to being human. And what we want, we don't always get. God has a way of working that's outside of ourselves. One of the best ways to work with God is that you literally let go of all of your a desire, expectation, attachment, all of that. Um, and my experience is that it is always, for the most part, 99.9% of my exchanges with Jesus and or God have been very subtle,
Mhm.
very subtle. Just when I get those really profound moments, I love it. I mean, now, because I'm writing the book, it's basically like it's very profoundly potent, but that's only because I'm writing this book with him. Normally, it's subtle. It's like you have to choose to believe. You
Mhm.
have to know, you have to have the faith that when you say, Jesus, sit here, he's there, because he is. So why are you going to believe he's not? The other day he said something to me and it made me so sad. He said something like, nobody believes I'm with them.
Mm.
Not nobody, but like,
Yes.
so many
Many.
people don't believe me that I'm right here. He's like, and I'm right here. It's like they the exchange can't even happen with him because they're not even believing that he's right there when they call him,
Mm.
you know? So we have to choose to believe beyond a shadow of a doubt, absolute faith that no matter whether you hear him or not is not an indication of him being there. Your faith is all that is necessary, and he's there. Um, and having, solitude in that, having comfort in that, and then letting his energy tear down the walls of doubt and expectation. Let his energy tear that down by just simply consistently inviting him to walk with you in the grocery store. Like, because what happens when you are inviting him in, it's not like it's just you're bringing kind of an awareness that he's there, and then you can start talking. And that, and again, even in the conversations, it's like, just be okay with not hearing anything. He's still talking to you. Like, let it go. Just relax. Just enjoy the random, weird you talking to yourself in the car with Jesus until you start trusting that random conversation that actually becomes a real conversation and you start hearing something. Um,
He's so good.
He's so good.
So good. And loves
He's
us unconditionally. Like unconditionally. You could come to him, God, in like what we would quote unquote say the worst state, or think that you're the worst. Ugh, like those words. But at the same time, like he loves you. He loves everyone, no matter what, which can sometimes be hard to wrap your mind around, but it's unconditional.
it's unbelievable. It's unreal. His love is, he truly would watch somebody kill a person and he would go to them and say, "You're forgiven." Like, no, there is not a single act that a person could do that Jesus would not walk up to. I do not believe that, I don't believe that there is a vengeance
Mhm.
or a um, polarity in him, because that's why we are so flawed. That's why we need him. We are very messed up. We are very flawed. We are very screwed up as a human. And for us to pretend that we're not, for us to say, "Oh no, no, I am one with everything. I am perfect. I am divine. I am God." It's like, no, 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 you're actually not. Just listen to your thoughts that you actually believe.
Yeah.
Like, we need to get humble and like real with the fact that we're in this human experience, this human condition that is going to create some really messed up behaviors and beliefs and ways of being on this planet. And we do 1 billion% need to have God come in and remind us that we are good in the eyes of God, that we're okay, that there is nothing that we have done that isn't loved into that light, and we cannot do it. We're
Mhm.
too flawed. We're too controlled in the mind. No matter how many meditations you do, no matter how many shamanic things you do, energy things you do, it doesn't matter. This spiritual battle is way too intense for our own egoic structure to figure out how to get out of it,
I have a
you know?
question with that then. Has Jesus shared with you steps of being humbled, to humble yourself or to embrace humility? Because you're right, it is such an egoic culture in different ways. And so that might not always be an easy path. But yeah, has he shared things about humility and humbling self?
Not yet in terms of like the book. It it's challenging. I'm just thinking of my own process.
Mhm.
I think this is one of the most, I think this could be one of the biggest hurdles for a lot of people that aren't religious. I think when you're more religious, you're a little bit more prone to sort of handing everything over and just saying, okay, I'm full of sin, take it from me. And um, um, I'm unworthy. And it can be a little bit on the extreme side over there, but they have no problem on some capacity. But then that is all that there is also a shadow to that too. Um, but I think for ourselves, if I tap into kind of how I started to really drop into that humility, um, I think part of it is realizing there isn't anything wrong with us. There isn't, we're flawed and we have a lot of sinful behaviors that we are consciously and unconsciously doing. But there still isn't anything like inherently wrong with us. Um, and holding sort of both of those perspectives. The big piece for me that I had to come to terms with was I cannot do this. Like, I am deeply warped in my ability to see beyond what my ego really wants or what my ego really thinks it needs, or my ego and my ego being kind of programmed through my upbringing, right? And not just my personal upbringing, but my upbringing on this planet. So, how could I possibly be able to escape or free myself from what has potentially programmed the thing that's going to free myself? Do you understand? If my ego is what's going to free me, how could that possibly free me if it's the thing that's been programmed?
Yeah, like
Right?
holding you.
Yeah, like it's not.
Mm.
So anytime I say I can do this, I've got this, that I, whether we want to believe this or not, is inside of the egoic structure. Even if it's a spiritual I, anything that is you doing it,
Mhm.
as hard as this can be for people, it is going to be an aspect of you that's been programmed in a spiritual community, programmed in a governmental community, programmed in a family system. There is a system that is the only way to break out of all of that is pure consciousness of God, like the light of God, right? So when you bring Jesus in, it's so pure. And he says, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And then you start realizing you want to battle it. You want to fight against it. No, it's not. I'm fine. I'm fine. No, I got this. No, you don't understand. Maybe other people, not me. And then you start to realize God's awareness and my awareness. And then God says, let this go. And then you really start to see, let that go. Let that behavior go. Let this go. Let that go. And then, or, the gentle awareness of what may be influencing certain things. And then you realize how strong that I is,
Yeah.
right? And what happens when we say, okay, then you show me God, then you show me the way. That's where the humility comes in. You start realizing, I started realizing, like, wow, if I keep doing this, I'm in a loop.
Mhm.
That's why healing to me is a loop. That's why people think it's bypassing when you ask God, because they think that you're bypassing your healing. And I would say it's the opposite, because you're continuing to pay people to heal you
Mhm.
and you keep needing to be healed. But if you pay God for free, i.e., just ask God, and he heals you finally forever.
Yeah.
What are we arguing about? It's a real intense powerful program they have us in is the loop of healing, when really, if you just go to God and let God actually heal you, it's complete. But they don't want that.
And that's the whole thing. And knowing that you're loved, you're worthy, it can be that quote unquote simple to just go straight to the source. But once again, that's part of the programs of us being disempowered on so many levels.
It's, yeah, so many levels. And it's not easy to kind of find that balance between the free will and the divine will. How do I, okay, I'm going to hand my life to God. Like, what does that look like? I can't hear God. I don't know who God is. I don't know what it sounds like. I don't know what, there's 1,000 million people probably that'd be like, yeah, I would love to do that. I just don't know how. Hearing God is really difficult, like the actual source of God, right? It's challenging. It's difficult to hear, I think. It's easier to hear Jesus. Um, and so that's a big leap for a lot of us, is how do I and what I've done, what has worked for me, which I encourage people to do as like the first step in sort of trying to figure out how to work with God more, is I say on a daily basis and throughout my day, if I remember, God, use my vessel for your work, right? Or just God, work through me today. So, what starts to happen when you do that is a couple of things. One, you start engaging with God for the first time ever. You're like, huh, I'm actually talking to God, even though I don't know what that is and but I'm telling God to come in and use my vessel. That's weird. Okay. I mean, that's how it was for me, right? And then you start noticing that, like, what if it's actually happening? What if God is using my vessel? And then what I started noticing is I was literally changing. Like, I was seeing people differently. I was feeling people differently. I was and not because I was trying to. God was just like, "Thank you. Hallelujah. I'm in." And the light of God starts to work through you. And then when we have these little experiences, they give us hope. They give us faith, like, "Oh, this is real." And then what that does is we start to trust it. So we're like, "Okay, take my life a little bit more." Like,
Just a little bit more.
yeah, like a little bit more. Show me maybe can you help me with what I should say to my husband? Or, so we take these little baby steps. Can you help me in this conversation I'm about to have with my employee or employer? God work through me, God be with me. And so it's these tiny little baby steps that we chip away at, or this puzzle pieces that we start to put together, where we start realizing that there is something happening here. Slowly but surely, I am seeing God winks. Gosh, there is a God that's working with me. God does really love me. God does really want to help me. I am experiencing it. I am feeling it. But we have to be the ones that bring it in.
Sorry, and you said slowly but surely. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. Taking things slow, there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay if things are
Right.
being taken slow, and allow yourself to have the grace of that too.
Yeah.
Right?
The patience.
Mhm.
The patience. Like, we need patience. It doesn't, I think we have an addiction to that, the instantification. It needs to happen instantly. I should feel something instantly. Um, no, you might not. You might not feel something for quite a while. How committed are you?
Mhm.
How committed are you to this new way of being? You know, I had my first like real tangible interaction with God, source, creator, God, in December of 2024. And it took me months to I don't know, understand it,
Mm.
work with it months and months and months and months and months. And it really wasn't until my 40-day class that I really started to feel God's impact in my life. Um, Not Jesus and not God through Jesus, but just like God.
Mm.
Um, so it's not, it's a real subtle, slow, tedious kind of drip that it's not an overnight sensation.
Can we do a segue into your 40-day class?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you said that, but you do have one coming too. So what is that? What does that entail?
Oh my goodness. My 40 days is sitting daily with God and God being really whatever you want that to be. And you figuring out what is God to you and then you connecting to that. Um, but we sit for about 15 minutes a day, committed to bringing that into our lives. And, um, it can be challenging. It can also be life changing.
Mm.
And it can be both life changing and challenging. We had it all in the first class. And um, honest to God, if there was one prescription that I would give all of humanity right now, it would be to either sit daily with God or to sit daily with Jesus and figure out how to create your own relationship every day where the first thing you do when you wake up and the last thing you do when you go to bed and everything in between is that you focus as much as you can. We have a very busy day and we're very distracted. Um, but the more that we can bring awareness to God and to Jesus, the more we can ask for God to come into our lives throughout our day, to open up our hearts, to bring the Holy Spirit into the body, the more we can engage and interact, our lives will significantly change. Now, this doesn't mean that you're not going to still have all of the ups and downs. Like life is still going to throw you life. Like
Oh,
there
yeah.
is, yeah, there's no getting away. There is no bypassing into some sort of like, well, 5D world where you're just like vibing out of the human condition. Like, no, it's quite the opposite. You kind of really feel dropped deeper down into the human condition in a way, you know? Yeah.
I would have to say personally, yeah, life has been a roller coaster in many ways, but it definitely got amplified when Jesus entered the picture. Even like mince words with that. Everything, yeah, you're definitely in the human a lot more. Things feel like they're crumbling and falling apart, but then growing and becoming amazing. And a lot more with Jesus entering the chat. Oh.
Yep. It's so true. Oh Lord, things can get rattled.
Woo.
Uh, Things get pulled from you. You just can't do things anymore. Like it's impossible. There is so much that is shown to you that you're just like, oh my God, I can't do that anymore. Like, yeah, you're lots changes. Oh Lord, it's so true. But it also becomes so incredible. Like, oh, but like there's no, I don't know if you felt this, but it's like there's no expectation of anything changing in my life. Like I'm not like, oh, I better have a better house or a better partner or I better have more money. Like none of like that doesn't even like come into your like you're just experiencing things being pulled, maybe things coming in, understanding how to be in more surrendered state, realizing that all the things you wanted, you don't need anymore. Like you're just good, feeling calm and peaceful. But then when you get rattled, you're like, oh my God. But you always kind of know you're going to come back to this like home grounded, like this home base. Like you may run around the bases, but you know that if you're stuck on second base, you know you're going to make your way home, you know? So there's like a comfort in all of the struggle and seasons that you go through because yeah, you have this relationship now.
You're not alone, and you
You're
know
not
it.
alone.
Even
Yeah,
in the craziness, you know you're not alone.
I think that's huge. Huge. It's a huge piece. Um, yeah. It's you're not alone. And you're not going to necessarily be saved from the pain and the heartbreak and the fears and but he's walking right there with you,
Hmm.
you know, whether you are ignoring him for a while or not. Like he's just sitting there waiting and then you come back and you're like, sorry, I had to just kind of exit stage left for a while, but he's like, I saw you. I was with you the whole time. You know, I was sitting with you.
I always think of that Footprints poem where the person felt like they got abandoned, and it was God really saying, because it's in the footprints in the sand, and there's only those two set, or sorry, one set, and it felt like being abandoned, but they were actually carrying you. So they're always there. And
I
that,
love that poem.
yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And I think it's also an indication of like, you know, we were talking earlier about just invite Jesus in. It's like, well, I don't feel anything. I don't hear anything. He must not be here. And it's like, he's always there. He's always there. Always.
Hmm.
And um, can we hold that, start holding that truth that as you walk, he's walking right next to you. You don't ever need to see it or hear it. It's just, it's an absolute. And when you know that absolute more and more, when you start trying to practice holding that absolute truth, which is faith, then you begin to see the implications of that in your life. You're opening to the to recognizing God winks, you're recognizing calm or peace, you're recognizing your shift in how you're responding to people. Um, you have to open to that opportunity that comes when you invite him in. Um, yeah.
I love that.
Oh my God, we didn't even get to talk much about your life. I mean, but both of us have like so much has shifted since we talked last. I'm like, dude,
No,
we're like two different people.
seriously. Well, and that's
Yeah.
the whole thing. Your life will change. Everything in your life will change, and it can't not.
It can't not.
Can't
When
not.
did you start your deep dive with Jesus? How long ago?
Well, so the first introduction was in July of 2023, which changed my life, but it was a slow unraveling into what is even going on? What does this look like? Um, and I would have to say, in all honesty, 2025, this year, was like the deep dive surgery. It's been intense
Yeah.
in so many ways, but I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah. It's almost like he said, okay, it's time to get, it's like
Oh,
he gave us time to sort of, because mine was June of 2023. So he gave us time to kind of like get used to him, figure him out, you know, warm up to him. And then it's
okay.
like,
Yeah,
it's go time. Yeah. Right. Now it's like, oh, this is for real. Like go time. Yeah. Wow. And
yeah,
then, and so you had to kind of follow all the breaking down because you knew it was the best. You knew you had to.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, even work, at the work, I'm separate. Well, I can't even say separated, just relationship done, Career is changing everything. I myself internally, everything.
It's changing.
However, it's not that anything was bad before, but it needed to change,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And when you felt these things starting to happen, how much of you knew that regardless of your opinion around it or your emotions around it, how much of you understood that it was bigger than you?
Oh, every part of me. Like you know it, and well, and from my experience, I'll just say it in that wording. From my experience, it was undeniable. You feel it in your being, and the human can try to fight or resist or say, I'm not doing that, or I'm doing it this way. But when you step out of the way and you listen, and it's not always fun or easy to listen, but it's a feeling, a knowing where you trust and you know you
Yeah.
have to. Like that's the
Yeah.
only path forward.
And do you think your relationship with Jesus up until this year helped you trust that you're going to go forward with these changes?
Absolutely. And you have someone holding your hand.
Yeah.
Just feels like so when you're saying he's walking with you, even so I'll just touch on this. When I first entered into my separation and was living in a hotel in August, I remember crying on my bed, and literally it felt like I was sitting or had my head in Jesus's lap and he was just stroking my hair.
Mm,
It's okay. I'm here.
mm,
And that even in challenging times is comforting. And we might
mhm.
not have an experience like that, but it doesn't mean that he's not there. He's still
Do you
there.
have you ever seen this photo? Hold on a second. Have you ever seen this photo?
Oh no, I love that. I've seen similar to that.
Yeah. It
Yes.
reminds me of this.
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, just being held.
Yes. And it's so comforting.
Yeah.
It's like having for me, like in that moment, it felt like he was physically there. I'm like, oh my gosh, bawling. I was like stroking
Yeah.
my
He
hair.
was. He
Yeah.
was there. He
Yeah.
really, that's exactly what was
Yeah.
happening, you know? It feels so real.
It is. It does feel so real, but it is real.
Right. It's surreal though, because you're like, I know this is real. I know this is actually happening, but I also can't physically, I don't know about you, but like it's almost like I can physically see it,
Yes.
but it's not there. But I'm like, no, I'm 100% I know that you're actually, I
You're
know this
there.
is, yeah, you're here
Those car rides with Jesus, it's like, yes, he will be sitting shotgun.
all the time.
Absolutely.
All the time. Dude, I take him into like my hot Pilates classes and he's just standing there and I'm like, don't say anything. Just keep it silent while I do this up and down nonsense with weights. And he's like, what is this? I'm like, it's, I'm getting my muscles, I'm building my muscle strength, So like just feeling into like all the random moments, like, but yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that it gives me strength when I know that I have to do something challenging and I know he's there,
Mhm.
you know.
There are those words of encouragement, and perhaps for those of you that might not necessarily in the moment hear the words, it's a feeling. I
Yeah.
don't know any other way to describe it. It's just like that feeling that directs you or guides you, but it doesn't force you. We'll definitely
No,
say that you're not forced in different choices or pathways, but you know in every fiber of your being that where you're being guided is where you need to be. Even
even if it's scary,
if it's scary.
it's not going to be just because God's directing you doesn't mean you're not going to be in pain.
Absolutely. Absolutely not. Right. But at the same time, through that pain, we're held. We're not abandoned, even though in those moments, there could be times where you feel like you're abandoned. You and I touched on this before we hopped on the call, but sometimes we abandon God. But Jesus is there, God is there. And then it's just, are we going to turn back and say, oh, I'm here?
Yeah. And
Um,
not beating ourselves up when we do need to turn away and say, I just got to take care of myself. I can't, I need to just survive.
yep.
And it's okay that I'm not talking to you every day. It's okay that I feel completely alone. It's okay that I feel like I'm going to die. It's okay that we crack. It's okay that we break down. Because even in those moments, you're you still know in the back of your mind, in the back of your being that you're held, that you're, it's kind of like a defiant teenager in a way. Um, and maybe even afraid, like, I don't know, is God even here right now? I mean, I've had many of those moments, um, where you really question, even after the walk you have. Um, but that's why the practice is so important because it builds that foundation for us when we go through things.
And where you trust, right?
Yeah.
Where you have that unwavering trust, even, sometimes it can feel challenging. And it all starts from what you were talking about, Lorie. It's just that invitation of
Yeah.
being,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we can all do it.
And we can all do it. And you just have to start and really recognizing our expectation, like the expectation that we have around how it should be or what it should look like or what it should feel like. Um, yeah. Because a lot of times God is going to push you in directions that you don't necessarily want to go for the sole purpose of having faith, trust. We don't know. We don't know what's best for us. We don't.
Oh,
We don't know what's best for us. And if you think you know what's best for you, I hope that there is a humbling that happens where you start to realize, because that's where life starts to get good. The
yep.
more you realize you don't know what's best for you, the
Mhm.
better life becomes because God says, I've got so much in store for you. I got so much in store for you. Watch, just let me lead you. And leading you is finding yourself in a hotel, finding yourself
Yeah.
separated, finding yourself doing work that you don't want to do anymore, but you don't know what job, what kind of work you are going to start doing, but you need the money. And like, that's God.
Yep.
That's how God works. God needs complete surrender and obedience and trust and faith. And God will never drop us. God will never ever drop us. And the more faith we have in that, the more miracles are delivered.
Mm.
You know, it's how much faith can we have in that unknown space? How
Right.
much courage can we have in that
Yeah.
unknown, you
Yeah.
know?
Allowing God to be part of our life.
That's why do it now when things are going good. If like things are going good, invite them in now, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me. Just invite them in now because things are good now. And then when it gets rocky, you could be like, okay, well, I remember I got these God winks and I remember it felt cool having him there. Because it's when you really get rocked that, um, or when you really get like, okay, it's time to jump. And you're like, oh my God. That's when it really becomes about me. I can't. I don't know how. I'm not going to. It becomes very I centered. You forget that God was the one who told you to do this.
Yeah.
Um, and so you kind of have to like build up that muscle of God faith, um, and rest your head on Jesus in those moments, over and over and over again.
Yeah. And it's not always going to be easy, but it will be worth
No.
That's the funny thing. It will always be worth it, but
Always.
you have to have the faith and trust, but we won't see it or like reap the benefits of what's worth it without going through the fire or without going through the guidance.
It's
Lord.
impossible. Like I think the more people, just regular, the Joe Schmo people, the more they start to get curious with Jesus, invite him in, start to build a relationship, no matter what, just the commitment to trying and practicing, and they start to watch their life change, it's a domino effect. Like your life starts to change in these really small ways and then bigger ways. And then you start trusting him a little bit more and you trust him a little bit more. And then you're more curious and then you invite him in even more. And then you're like, oh, wow, this really is true. What people are saying, holy cow. Right. And it just kind of starts to build. And then you want to pass it on to other people. Right. And that's kind of how the wave of this whole thing goes.
Hmm.
Um, I think. Yeah.
I believe because we all are here to serve in whatever way that is, if you find something that brings you comfort, if you find something that doesn't necessarily make you have to question things or your reality as much, naturally you want to share that. Especially if, there's no, I don't know. So often it feels like there's all these hoops you have to jump through. But with this, there's no hoops. You don't have to jump through any hoops. You
There's
can
no hoops.
say, hi, I'm here.
Yeah.
My life.
Right. And one of the things that really changed when I started to really engage with Jesus was realizing that he just wants to be a part of your life. So it's like you could literally be like, dude, I don't even know. I know I got mad at my friend. I know what you're going to say. You're going to tell me that I need to not lie, be honest. Like you know what I mean? Like he just wants you to be you. Like there's no facade. You don't have to like speak a certain way or like just be all of you all the time. That's it. People will say, well, how do you pray or how do you do this? Like, I don't know. I just talk to Jesus and I just like I'm not good at it, but like I just do whatever comes out of my mouth. It's like there it's just being you. Tell him your concerns, tell him your anger, tell him anything, what you're happy about, ask him to help you next time. Hey, next time I get in an argument with my husband, can you come in and just like help me walk through that better? Like just random, just anything. Imagine he's your friend and he's with you all the time. What would you do with your friend, Um, I am 100%, billion% convinced this can be one of the most life-changing things on the planet if people do this, if they bring him in. I have no doubt in my mind. No, none, none. I believe this is the number one tool going forward that humanity can access for free that will literally change this entire planet.
Yeah.
I really believe that. And yeah, one person at a time, kind of
Right.
one person's story at a time, one person's experience at a time, and then the curiosity and the courage to invite him in. I've seen so many people lately come to me and say I was so angry at God and I was so disgusted by Jesus, and just watching you talk and watching you share about him in this different way, I've softened and I started opening up again, and it feels so good, and something feels right about this. And um, so people hearing your testimony, hearing your experiences, hearing your stories, um, because I was also surprised by how many people. had already had a relationship with him, and I had no idea because nobody talks about it. I'm like, why are we all closeted Jesus lovers? Like, what is this? Like,
I would say I've had people reach out and having him come almost at the same time, like the 2023 as well. So I'm finding that quite fascinating where he's found us.
I wonder what it was in 2023.
Oh, yeah,
Because
but it's been
ours, yours and ours was almost the exact same month.
yeah. Yeah, mine was in July. Yeah.
I wonder what that is. I mean, he definitely will come and rattle you
Yeah.
if it's time, you know, he'll do his best to rattle you. And it's just a matter of will you stay committed to what he wants to do with you? Because I believe that if he came in and really rattled you without you kind of choosing, then I believe there's a big purpose
Yeah.
that you have in connection with him. And it's just a matter of do you have not you personally, but also you, the courage to sort of peel that back and figure out why does he want to use you? What does he want to use you for, right? How is he going to use you to access others? Um, and will you let him, you
Mhm.
know, will you let him? Because I don't believe that he comes in a loud force like that just to be like, yo, what's up? Like, I think he's trying to get specific people's attentions that have a signature within them that's designed more to be a little bit more public with it.
Light.
I've seen him come into, yeah, like ring the bell of like, you know, and accessing different people, different types of people, different organizations, like he doesn't want he doesn't want just religion. Like he wants all the different peeps, you know, like he went and rattled my friend, that was I would consider my friend like an atheist, like just not, you know, was just not in that space. And, it was in February of 2025 no, December of 2025. I don't know, one of those months that he was very, very sick. And he was like, he'd never been this sick before in his life, really scary sick, and was like even questioning whether he was going to make it. And then Jesus came to him in his house and you know, healed him immediately, basically overnight. And he started wearing a cross and he, you know, and but then it became sort of like, you know, what do I do with this? And he's a psychiatrist, and but he also has a big following, and he's all about mental health, right? And helping people. So I don't know I don't think right now he's doing much in terms of really building that relationship, but what does Jesus want with him, you know? And all of the millions of people that Jesus could impact through that venue of mental health and psychiatry. Just imagine, right? So, um, you know, some of us do get hit with that. And some of us I just invited him in. I was like, yo, I want to learn from you, like come into my life, and not thinking this was what was going to happen. But, you know, some of us have to invite him in and say, yo, hang with me. Some of us like you get the but he's, you know, all of it is not only to change our lives, but to change other people's lives through him, you know?
Yeah, and that's a huge piece to remember that sometimes you might not want to share or just feel it could feel uncomfortable if you're coming from a different world and then Jesus enters your world, but it is to help other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope that I don't hope I know we will start to break down a lot of the all of the stereotypes. Not it's, you know, so like I mean I would imagine that at some point, you know, at some point on the planet when you hear the word Jesus or Yeshua or whatever word that we won't any longer associate it with a dogmatic religion or with a free-spirited Christ consciousness space, but instead a movement,
Mm,
right? Like an actual movement of humanity's collective consciousness. Like that is how I would eventually see
mm,
his name, is that it's not connected to a side, it's connected to a movement. Um, and
it's a return
yeah,
hugely, one soul at a time, one voice at a time. But it is time.
it's time. And you're 100 billion% correct in that one simple sentence you said. That is exactly what it is.
Mm.
That's it. Everything else is the noise around it. I mean, that's why he came. And everything else is the distraction or the story or the program or well, what about this? Well, he actually said this. Well, actually, he said this. And it's
It doesn't
like,
matter.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, if you grabbed his hand and he walks you straight to God, is that enough?
Yeah.
You know?
And it will be. Lori, before we close our time together without any technical difficulties,
Yay!
now
We did it.
I will have everything in the show notes, but how can people find you? Where can they find you? Do you have any offerings that are coming up in the next little bit? Just please share where folks can find
Mm,
you, connect with you, and through that also have doorways opened to Jesus and God.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Yes. So you can find me on Instagram if you just search my name. You can find me on Facebook just searching my name. And then my website, search my name. We have also a really beautiful community called the School of Remembrance. And that can be found on my website. But where I'm adding a lot of cool stuff to that community because of what's happening in the book I'm writing, which I'm really excited about. We're going to be doing fasting journeys together. Um, we're going to be practicing more of the tips and tools that Jesus is talking to us about. I've been reading aspects of the book in the community, so we're really starting to dive into the practical juice of how do we do this next phase with Jesus, with activating God consciousness, that kind of thing. And then I have another 40 days class that's starting. I don't know when this is going to go out, but it's starting in October 15th, 40 days. And I'm going to have a class December 2nd, 21 days with Jesus. So we'll sit, I know it's going to be so good. 21 days of literally sitting, engaging, feeling, being with Jesus, and really kind of fine tuning and playing around with that piece, which I'm so excited about. That's December 2nd or 3rd that we'll start that.
Oh, amazing. Lori, I thank you. We could just go forever. This is why we need another one.
I know. 6 months from now, we'll be like, I wonder what our lives will be like.
Oh my God. Well, and I realized we didn't even talk about your pilgrimage to Jerusalem.
Oh my God. That's for next time if we remember. That seems so far away.
My
Oh,
God.
you got to go.
Yeah, well, I know. It's a wild story. I was going to go, I had planned to go after Greece, and then I went to the UK instead. Avalon pulled me there. So, who knows?
Well, oh,
26.
I would love to talk about Avalon. I'm so curious about that energy. Wow. Okay, next time.
What we will say bye to the folks.
Bye,
Um,
folks.
yeah, and Lori will be back. because we just can't get enough.
No, this is just what we do. We check in, we talk about the life-changing moments, and then we move forward. We encourage the Jesus connection, the God connection.
Oh, thank you so much for being here for Heart Path Podcast. And we're gonna say until next time.
Until next time, everyone, thank you.
Mwah.
Bye.